introduced. It's clear this government is trying to distance itself from the last. Bill Fortier reports.
I, Premier Jim Prentice, do swear that...
First, they made it official. The Premier sworn in as a member of the Legislative Assembly.
I wish each of you all the very, very best.
Same thing for 3 other new MLAs, including former Edmonton Mayor, now Health Minister Stephen Mandel.
I, Stephen Mandel.
Then the 3rd session of the 28th Legislature got underway with a traditional speech from the throne.
9 weeks ago, we put Alberta under new management.
The new Premier's priorities laid out by the Lieutenant Governor. A big one, ending the so-called entitlements that the government came under fire for under previous Premier Alison Redford.
Your government pledges to honor the trust Albertans have placed in their elected representatives.
Political opponents say the legislative agenda misses the mark with no focus on education, healthcare, environment, or the cost of living.
The substance of this legislative agenda I question in regards to its relevance to the vast majority of Albertans.
I think if anyone was looking for something innovative out of this throne speech, they're going to be disappointed.
Really, it's telling Albertans everything they want to hear. Beyond the Premier.
It's not clear how loud that criticism will be. Typically, debate during question period can become heated.
The Premier's credibility is in tatters.
The new government House leader says all parties have agreed to improve decorum.
All 3 of them really seem to be on point with this, in that we're doing the people's business, and let's maybe just take the temperature down a little bit.
The government often tries to do this, right, to suggest that, the opposition should, back off. We won't back down from anything.
A total of 9 bills are expected to be introduced this session. The Accountability Act to stop so-called entitlement could be brought forward this week. Now, in light of the events on Parliament Hill last month, the Alberta legislature is stepping up security this session. There are stricter screening measures, and now there's only 1 public entrance in and out of the ledge. There's also a noticeable increase in security personnel. The Sergeant-at-Arms says the decision to step up security is not just a reflection of the Ottawa shooting, but also the state of the world today. The Justice Minister believes striking a balance between public access and public safety is important.
It is the people's building, where people should be allowed to come here and take into over the 100 years of history in this building. That being said, people who work here, people who visit here, also have a reasonable expectation that they are going to be safe.
A review of the new security measures will take place in a few months, and there could be changes made at that time.
Right here in this rotunda, there was actually an inspection of the troops by the Lieutenant Governor this afternoon before he went into the chamber to deliver the speech from the throne. Well, that speech from the throne spoke of under new management. We've been hearing that from the Prentice government ever since he was selected leader. Well, it continued on that theme. They are introducing, they figure, about 9 pieces of legislation in this session. The first one that was actually introduced today deals with property rights. Bill 2 will be around accountability. The Justice Minister, Jonathan Dennis, who is the new government House leader, spoke on that earlier today.
The idea, of course, is to restore public confidence and to end entitlements and get back with the principle that we work for the people, not the other way around.
The PCs returned from the Banff Springs Hotel full of arrogance and bluster, but the substance of this legislative agenda I question.
Now, also today, Dennis spoke about a higher level of decorum during question period. Obviously, question period gets heated. Dennis says he's spoken with each of the other government House leaders. We heard from David Egan there about this. Now, all the opposition parties agree that there will be a nice level of decorum, but they will not back down, pushing back against the government when they feel that the government isn't doing what they should be. I want to note as well, there is added security around the legislature these days because of what happened in Ottawa a couple of weeks ago. So visitors are now being told to enter in a single entrance. There will be metal detectors, and there is heightened security around here. And so the parties, we spoke with them about that as well, and they agree that this is the people's building. People should have access, but there does need to be a degree of security.
A new session of the Alberta legislature is underway.
It's the first under new Premier Jim Prentice.
I, Premier Jim Prentice, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true.
The session began by swearing in Prentice and 3 new MLAs. Then came the throne speech. The government House Speaker says he and other parties have agreed to tone it down a notch this session. Prentice's first bill will address property rights issues. The second will make government more accountable. We'll have more on what was said during the throne speech coming up on our news at 6. Meantime, additional security measures are now in effect at the legislature.
From now on, visitors will enter through a side door and have to go through a metal detector. Brenna Rose reports.
Among the changes, guests can no longer come through the front door. They're being directed through a door on the west side of the building where they're being screened by sheriffs. The Justice Minister believes striking a balance between public access to the legislature and safety is key.
It is the people's building where people should be allowed to come here and take into over the 100 years of history in this building. That being said, people who work here, people who visit here, also have a reasonable expectation that they are going to be safe.
Officials say the Parliament Hill shooting did play a role in the security changes, but that they had already been looking at different security protocols for a few years. A review of these new security protocols will be done in a few months, and I'm told if any changes need to be made, they'll do so at that point. Reporting from the legislature, Brenna Rose, CTV News.